Alrighty, what if you could travel all the time for free? Raise your hand if you're listening to the Rainmaker show in your car or whatever you're doing. I know both of my hands are up. Yes, for more traveling and even doing it for free or close to free. Well, today on the Rainmaker Family Show, I am so excited to have this amazing mother-daughter duo, Pam and Alex, who in the last several years have mastered learning how to travel for nearly for free using credit card points. So today, welcome you guys. I'm so excited to chat with you more about your process and how you help other families travel more with their families.
Thanks. We're glad to be here.
Thanks so much. We're so happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, Alex and Pam, I first want to start with asking about what is a trip that you are most excited about this year that you have planned in 2022? Let's start there. And then I would love to jump into some ideas on how our community can start learning about some of these travel hacks.
We're going to say the same trip.
Yeah, we are going to say the same trip because we're going together. We are going to Bora Bora in November, and my mom booked that for us using her Hilton points for the hotel. We're staying at the Hilton Conrad, and then we're using United miles to fly there. So that is like a huge bucket list dream trip that we both have that we're doing together. So that's I'm assuming you're saying the same one, Mom.
Absolutely. I also have the Maldives. I'm really excited about that and some other trips, but that Bora Bora one is definitely number one.
Wow.
I love that. And before we kind of jump to the next questions, I've heard of Bora Bora, but I don't even know, what is Bora Bora like? What, based on your research? Is it tropical? Is there a lot of mountain ranges? Where is it? Just share a little bit more about that trip and specifically why you're so excited about it.
Well, you've heard of Tahiti.
So yeah, so it's in like French Polynesia, so it's got like that Polynesian vibe to it. Islands, there is like some mountains, but like, so when we go, the Conrad, it's on its own little island. So you have to take a seaplane from Tahiti to Bora Bora, and then once you get to Bora Bora, you take a boat that is like their own. Their Hilton has their own boat that they put you on, and then they drive you to the island, and then the hotel is literally the island.
Wow. That's amazing.
That sounds like a trip I want to book right now.
Now, I saw on your guys' bio that, you've taken your family of 5 on vacation to Hawaii for just like $55. You've gotten a flight to Croatia for just $25. So this is totally possible. And now you guys have a community of people doing this. You have over 100,000 people following you on Instagram. I would love to know, just working with so many people, what are the biggest mental roadblocks people have that are holding them back from this? Like, what are the lies they're believing that are saying like, oh no, I can't travel? What do you guys see?
I'd say number one is following Dave Ramsey and thinking that credit cards are bad and you should never get a credit card.
Yeah.
That by far is, people are very, very, very skeptical. And we always tell people that if you're going to get a credit card and you are using it to just buy everything that you want, whims, then travel hacking isn't for you. We get a credit card, we put all of our normal spending, and that's our groceries, our utilities, our gas, everything that we normally would pay for with cash, we put on that credit card, and we pay it off in full every single month on time. So we never carry a balance, and our credit scores are over 800. People think this will totally wreck your credit scores, and it's not true. We open probably 4 to 6 cards each a year and have been able to amass millions of points, and all the while having great credit card scores.
That's amazing. So it's not, get the credit card and go buy the jet ski and buy the boat. And you're not encouraging, because I think when people hear, you're going to have a lot of credit cards to do this, they get freaked out like that. And it's almost maybe sometimes a personal fear of when I have the power to buy all these things, I will. But you guys are saying you just use this for everyday stuff. It's a little bit of discipline, but you're using it for gas, you're using it for groceries, everyday expenses. And particularly in our business, like what we teach, there's a lot of expenses when you're running the business. There's inventory costs, there's advertising, that type of thing. And that's where we started to dive into these points, because we started running Facebook ads, right? And Facebook ads are expensive. Right. And we got a credit card, we put on that. And before we knew it, we were into these super high point range. Now we're like, what do we do with all these points? So we're excited to talk with you guys and get
Awesome.
some strategy on it, because it's so amazing.
Yeah, I hope you guys have a credit card that earns you a lot of points on advertising.
Ooh,
Because there's ones, where you earn bonus categories depending where you're spending your money. And
okay.
some of the business credit cards have like social media advertising as a bonus category, so you'd earn more than like 1 point per dollar you're spending. So utilizing your credit cards kind of in the right way can also help you earn a lot of points.
Wow, that's so cool. We may need a one-on-one consultation
Yes.
later.
Yeah, after the podcast recording.
So cool. So as far as like, I remember one time I was at a coffee shop and there was a guy who was into something like this, and he had like a binder he brought with him to the coffee shop that was like full of all these credit cards. And I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh, this looks like, at the time I was just totally uneducated on points and all these things. But he would like carry this binder around with him everywhere. That's not what you guys are doing, right? I heard like you might just have 4 or 5 credit cards, but like, what does it look like? How many cards do you have? How do you store them? How do you organize them? Give us like an update on what you guys are doing.
So I do have a little binder like that, but the binder does not leave my house. Like the binder is full of credit cards that I don't really use. Most of them I don't ever use. Maybe I use it like once a year just to keep the account active. But in my wallet, I probably have like 4 cards that I use regularly. I always, well, pretty much always, we're working on meeting the minimum spend of a new card. So to get the bonus points, so that's how we get the majority of our points are by opening up the new cards for the welcome bonus. So we're usually working on meeting a minimum spend on a new card. If we're not, that's when I use some of these other cards in my wallet strategically. Like if I'm eating out, I'm going to use a card that gets me 3 times the points eating out versus one that gets me 1. So I have like a handful of cards that I use regularly. Beyond that, no, we don't carry a binder with us everywhere. It's a lot easier to manage, and I think people think they hear, oh, you have 20 credit cards. How in the world do you keep track of it all? And it's actually really easy when you're only using like 4 or 5. And most of them are for me, most of them are with Chase Bank. So I log in and I can see all of the accounts in one login. So it makes it really simple.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Is it maybe a myth that you have to be spending a bunch of money to get more points, or do you just find that like it's just our day to day, like, groceries, gas, all of those things that get us to where we want points wise?
Like Alex said, one of the ways that we primarily do our spend or using our cards is through meeting a sign up bonus. So a sign up bonus is like a card says, if you spend $4,000 on this card, we will give you 60,000 points. So primarily that's how we earn most of our points. And so a lot of people think that they can open up one card and then put all of their spending on that one card, and they're going to get lots and lots of trips. And so they're disappointed when they find out that that isn't true, because really it is through the sign up bonuses that we get the most of our points.
Yeah, I will get messages because we have a TikTok account too, and I get a lot of comments there that'll be like, oh, you had to spend so much money to get these points, and people are a lot more brutal on TikTok than Instagram. But I'm always like, no,
Wow.
actually, I don't. I spend the same amount of money I would be spending if I was using a debit card or cash. I'm just paying for like my normal everyday expenses and things like that. Not like having some lavish lifestyle of spending hundreds of thousands of
Yeah.
dollars a year on
Wow.
credit cards
That's
to
very
earn these
eye-opening
points.
because I think that's a myth I was believing. It's like, oh, well, those people have 4 million points. They must have spent $4 million or something, right? But it's really about finding opportunities because all these credit
Exactly, yeah.
cards want their business. So they give these, I saw one you guys posted recently, 80,000 point bonus for signing up, right? So you find an opportunity like this, you sign up for it, you meet the minimum spend requirement on that, you get your points, you cash in, and then you may not have to use that credit card. You can just kind of maintain it and move on to the next one. So that's how you guys are able to rack up these huge point amounts. It's just by bouncing, between cards. I mean, how much time typically do you have? And like, what is the average kind of, spend required on some of these cards? Like, is it 30 days, 60 days? I know some of them are just instant sign up bonus.
Yeah. Usually it's 3 months. There are a few cards that do have an instant, like you just get the card and you make one purchase on it. Then some other cards will have some, and then the minimum spend amount will range between anywhere from like $500 up to like $15,000. So there's a huge range on what, you have to do. And the thing is too, is some people, you got to find what's going to fit within your budget. You don't want to go sign up for a card that has a minimum spend of $15,000 if you're not naturally going to spend $3,000 or $15,000 in a 3-month period. So if, like, I personally have not opened a card that has a $15,000 minimum spend because that's outside of my normal spending. But if you had big expenses, if you run a business and you have big business expenses, then that might make sense. Usually, if I'm opening a card, the highest ones I've done have been $7,500 in 3 months. And for a card like that, I usually am like, okay, what are some big expenses I have coming up? Like my baby had to get one of those little helmets that helps make your head round. And that was like $1,000. So I was like, okay, that's a big chunk. I'm going to open that. And then we had some other big unexpected expenses. Well, expected in the sense that I had enough time to get a credit card for it, but not normal expenses. And so when you have those big expenses in life, it's a really great time to think ahead and get a credit card to meet the minimum spend on one that maybe is outside of your normal range of spending.
That's awesome. I read somewhere that you had said that not all points are created equal. I want to dig into that a little bit because, points with one card, points with another card, sometimes you go to redeem points. I remember when we were early into like redeeming points, we had no idea what we were doing. So we would just like cash in for Amazon gift cards on one of these things. And when I actually did the math on it, I was like, okay, this is actually not a great return on the points. We got some cool free stuff off Amazon. I think we have a chair in our house that we got off there that was like, oh wow, it was, at the time felt free. But I know there's ways to really stretch points, really maximize. So can you tell us a little bit about that? Like how not all points are created equal?
Sure, I can give a couple ideas. One way is that I really like to travel internationally. And so if I use my points for business class seats, say I use 70,000 points for a business class seat one way to London to see my daughter who lives there. That seat may cost me $5,000 if I was going to buy it. I'd never do that, but if I was going to, that's what I'd have to pay. So I can use that 70,000 in that way, or I can buy two round trip domestic tickets in the United States that would have maybe cost me $1,000. And so when you go to redeem, depending on how you redeem, you get more value for what you're doing. So they're not created equally in that way. And then the other idea that comes right to mind to me is hotel points. We love to stay at Hyatt's because they give us a really outsized value for the points. We just got back from the Hyatt Ziva Cancun, all inclusive. The rooms went for like $600 a night, all the beverages, all the foods you can eat. We paid $25,000 a night to stay there. But if we were going to stay at a Hilton hotel or a Marriott hotel of similar caliber, we would have had to pay anywhere from 70 to 100,000 points with their card points.
Interesting. And is that a Hyatt card that you're using for that particular hotel? Is that how it typically works?
Usually we do have Hyatt cards, but the Hyatt card doesn't have a great bonus. We actually use Chase Ultimate Rewards and transfer them to Hyatt. So that's a card like the Chase Sapphire Preferred or like the Ink, their Ink business cards as well, earn those Ultimate Rewards. And then you can transfer the points to Hyatt and then book the stay. So that's how we do it because you can earn you can earn more points by getting the Ultimate Rewards cards instead of Hyatt. But we have all of them, so we like the Hyatt card too. The other thing I was going to say about that with Hilton is a lot of people will still see that a Hilton card will have a bonus of like maybe 130,000 points. And they're thinking, whoa, that's a ton of Hilton points. Like, I'm going to get this card. But a Hilton point, typically, they're only worth like half a cent each. And so it's not as much value. Whereas, you could open a card, then you'd see the Chase Sapphire Preferred with the normal bonus on that card is 60,000 points. And someone might be thinking, well, why would I get that card for 60,000 points when I can get this for 130? But we can take those points from the Chase Sapphire Preferred and, like my mom said, use them for a business class flight where we can make those points be worth anywhere from 5 to even up to 10 cents we've been able to do at times. And so the value of those points are so much higher than like half a cent for a Hilton point.
Wow. So don't be swayed by just the number. Dig into it a little bit or get
Mm.
around experts like these.
Yeah, for sure.
Your guys' Instagram super helpful. Travel Hacking Moms on Instagram, just a bunch of reels, bunch of tips, and then TikTok as well. Super helpful for just kind of like learning the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
And what would you say to like one of our listeners who's listening is like, oh my goodness, their mind is being blown by the possibilities or like that dream vacation that maybe they've been saving for that they don't realize, well, I can pay a lot less based on using points and all these things. What would be some of like the baby steps for somebody listening, or that you even tell people in your community to like go on their first either free or close to free trip? I know it probably differs on where you want to go and those kinds of things, but what are some of those baby steps that our listeners could take?
Well, I would say just get started. Open one card. Open up that first card. We like transferable points cards. Our favorite is the one that Alex talked about, the Chase Sapphire Preferred, just because it doesn't limit you. You can use it for Hyatt hotel stays. You can use it for flying on United, for flying on Southwest. So the biggest thing is to not get into analysis paralysis. There's time to open lots of different cards. Just jump in and open one card and see where it takes you. And we teach beginners. That is our goal. We have a website at travelhackingmom.com where we post 3 or 4 posts a week. We teach people, we answer DMs, we answer emails, we hold people's hand because we were once those beginners, and we tried to learn from all these big blogs that talked about point valuation and all these other things. And so our goal was to create a business that would take beginners like we once were and hold their hand and teach them how to do this.
So the other thing too is when we got started, we learned from blogs that were like really big time bloggers. They were really geared, we felt like, towards men and business travelers and not really beginner friendly in our opinion. So that's kind of what got us started of doing this, is we wanted a place for beginners to go to learn this in a more simplified way. So that's kind of been our whole mantra with all of this, is we want it to be easily digestible. We want beginners to be able to understand how to even start this, because it can be overwhelming. So we really try to hold their hands. It's really important to us that we answer our DMs from people. We be there as a resource. We're not just like, here, read this post and figure out how to do all of this. We try to be involved and really like have that relationship with the people that really want to learn how to do this. So yeah, here's some of the baby steps we'd recommend if people want to get started doing this. The first thing I'd recommend that they do is go on to our Instagram account or to our blog. We have a beginner's guide that walks them through how to get started doing this, and it'll like really simplify it all. We also have a course that we offer if people want to really get a jump start and like get all that information very quickly. But other things we'd recommend doing are just getting that first card. The best card in our opinion to start with is the Chase Sapphire Preferred. It's a really great card, very user friendly, lots of different ways you can use the points. And that's something that we really like about it, is a lot of times people will be like, oh, well, I like to fly American Airlines, I'm just going to get this American Airlines card. But then they go to redeem their points and maybe there's no flights available, or the American Airlines flights is a ton of money. And so the thing that's nice about points like this is you can use them in so many different ways. So you can transfer them to different airlines, you can book in their portal, you can use it to book hotels. So you're not stuck with just one way of using your points. So that's why we really like it for beginners. So we would recommend that card first over any other card. And that's like probably the best thing to do, is just get that card and get going. I think a lot of people, they get analysis paralysis and they're like, what do I do? Where do I start? What card should I even get? That's where we'd start. And then always they can ask us for help if they, need more guidance.
Awesome.
We were just reflecting. I want to end with one last question with you guys. We were reflecting, you do this at night, kids are to bed, but we're like looking at photos of the kid on our phone. Like, we're like, he literally just went to bed and we're just like looking at photos. And I feel like some of our fondest memories, even with our 2 sons, have been on these family vacations. They've been just getting outside our normal day to day and going to the beach, going to Hawaii. Like, these are some of the most fond memories. And I think it's so cool what you guys are doing, just empowering people, moms, families to actually create these memories. Is there a couple of stories that come to your mind, like just from your community? Because you have people going through your course and your travel hacking mastermind. Are there a couple of stories that come to mind of just like really powerful times when these just hacks, these little tips, right, are really impacting families?
Yeah, so a couple that come to mind. One that's been really neat is newlyweds who are getting married, they're engaged, and they come to us and like, we want to save on our honeymoon. What should we do? And it's like, use credit cards to pay for your wedding and get your honeymoon for free. So that's been really cool to help people with that. And then, Mom, do you want to share the next one?
Yeah. So one of the messages that I had last week that was just really, really cool was a lady whose grandmother had died, and she just had gotten some points. And she said that she came from a very poor family. They didn't have a lot of money, but she was able to bring a couple family members, a couple different families actually, to the funeral. She was able to put them up in a hotel and pay for that because of points and miles, and they would otherwise not be able to go. And that type of a story just warms our heart.
Awesome. That's very cool. I love how you mentioned some of your courses and your Instagram. Just kind of recap for people, where can our listeners continue to follow both of you and your travel and this Bora Bora trip you're doing later this year? Man, I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, so our Instagram account is Travel Hacking Mom, and then our blog is travelhackingmom.com. TikTok is Travel Hacking Mom as well. So pretty easy to remember it all. It's just all Travel Hacking Mom.
That's amazing. It's so powerful, just like the impact that you guys are having. Not only, I mean, it's so cool that you, mother-daughter duo, you're creating memories together, you're running a business together. I think there's something so amazing there, but also like you're helping other people create these memories. So way to go. And if you guys are listening to this episode, you want to dive more deep into the travel hacking world, definitely we'll put all the links that we mentioned in the show notes. So you can go stalk the Instagram, jump on TikTok, get the free guide, or maybe even hop into that travel hacking course.
Yeah. So the next time you order your Amazon inventory or doing something in your business, you never know, if you get the right credit card, how that could lead to a fun family vacation, maybe even for free. So I love that, both sides up. But thank you so much, Pam and Alex, for being on. I know I've really enjoyed following your Instagram and will continue to do so. So thank you so much.